Hot damn, welcome back to Horror Movie Rewind. I'm Dustin, or welcome for the first time. If you haven't done so before, please hit that like and subscribe button below. Today we're going to be talking about Black Phone 2. Got a good bit to say about it. I've said it many times before. I don't watch anyone else's review videos, so I don't know if I'm saying things that I'm going to be mentioning for the first time or for the 17th time you've seen them, and I don't really give a damn. Stick with me. I promise you it'll be worth it. If nothing else, it'll be entertaining. Watch me make an idiot of myself saying very intelligent things, though. Yeah, so we're going to start at the very beginning. The film begins with a cold opening, and it's 1957. And just a little quick aside on that, just a little thing for you. Assuming you watched the film, so you know that the majority of it takes place at a camp. We'll get back to the camp aspect later, but yeah, so 1957, and Jason Voorhees died at a camp in 1957. So you know that's just like a little like, oh yeah, thumbs up, nod, wink, what the hell ever you want. There's probably a lot more in this movie than I noticed. I've only seen it once, but I wish I had the opportunity to see it again, but I wanted to get this out as soon as possible, and I was already 3 days behind the release seeing it. So nevertheless, yeah, so 1957, and it opens with a really like random ass scene of this beautiful scenic like frozen lake in the Rockies, and very reminiscent of The Shining. There's a lot of things about The Shining. Again, there's several movies, and we'll talk about it in a moment, that it definitely tips its cap to, so to speak. But yeah, but you have the world's most unnecessary phone booth sitting in the snow, and this is not a dream. This is apparently a real thing because people see this throughout the film. This the world's like most underused phone booth in the snow by a frozen lake in the middle of the mountains, and we have a teenage girl answers the phone. Now, it's not like a malicious conversation. You don't hear like, you know, and we'll find out later who that is. But yeah, so again, you got that. And then we clip to present day, which in this universe is 1982. And you clip to someone getting the shit kicked out of them. And it's a nod or whatever you want to call it, or just, you know, it's a play on the previous film because it's the other way around now, and it's Finn beating this guy's ass, like beating the hell out of him. And I mean, beating that ass. So the funny thing about that scene is he gets up, and like Gwen's not a child anymore either. You know, she's probably 14 or 15. And he explains to her why he did it. Like, basically, he's dealing with his newfound fame, or, you know, a couple of years old, being the guy who killed a serial killer. And it's just kind of like, you know, old hat, nonchalant. So they're walking into school. Again, he grabs his bag and he's explaining it to her. And some guy pulls up, like honks the horn and congratulates him on the ass whipping and all this. And then we meet Ernesto. And I was thinking the whole time, like, where the hell is everybody? Is this part of Colorado that badass? Like, this is what we do here. Like, asses get kicked if you run that mouth. Then we go to first period or first block. Not a teacher nary in sight. Nobody says anything. He looks down at his knuckles. They're like understandably bruised and bloody, and just going about business, you know. But so we meet Ernesto, and we find out very quickly Ernesto is the younger brother of my absolute favorite character from the first film, being Robin. And if you don't remember Robin, Robin's the guy that basically took up for Finney. This scene early in the first film where, you know, he was getting bullied and Robin was a badass. And there's a scene and I have no problem like admitting this, and I mean it. I'm not saying it to be cute on YouTube or anything. But like my eyes teared up when I saw it, where, you know, Robin gets got right by the grabber. Robin gets got by the grabber, but he comes back as a ghost and basically coaches Finn. You know, the other ones give him hints and stuff.
You got it. Now fill the phone with dirt like I told you.
Will I still be able to talk with you?
This was the last call, Finn.
But coaches Finn like how to fight and to believe in himself. And Robin was just the sweetest, but also the most badass kid. But so Ernesto is the absolute opposite. He's like awkward. He's not a bad guy. Like you don't dislike him. He's not that annoying or anything. But like he's insecure, unsure of himself. The opposite of his brother. And anyhow, he's got a crush, got a thing for Gwen, and he offers to buy her a ticket to go see Duran Duran. Again, this movie's a little clunky. The first act, if you will, really the first half of it. There's a whole conversation about buying Duran Duran tickets, and he wants to take Gwen. And then there's a dream Gwen has. And that's when we find out that the girl by the lake in the payphone, this like the most like surreal situation and we see a lot more of that payphone. But anyhow, we find out that that's in fact Gwen and Finney's mom, who, if you remember, died roughly 7 or 8 years previous to this film, I think. And it was supposedly by suicide. So yeah, the girl at the beginning is their mother, and in the dream, she's has the ability to like recognize enough to find out that it is Lake Alpine camp. Another thing I thought was weird was these are high school age students. I'm pretty sure. I mean, they go to the same school, and there's no way in hell that Finney's like not in high school. But there's a winter camp. Now, I don't know about most people, but like, you got like 2 weeks off maybe when I was in school, and that was a long ass time ago. But I'd never heard of a winter camp before. And I mean, it was a full ass camp, with bunks and, cabins and such. But thought that was weird. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Anyhow, the whole like Duran Duran concert becomes a cover, I guess. They didn't really explain it well. I did get up to take a pee around that time, but my wife's pretty like good at this too. So she said that, there's no explanation really. But so he actually bought tickets for the two of them to go to this concert. They don't go. Instead, that's the excuse that they give the dad, who is also by now, if you remember the first film, he was an asshole, beat the hell out of his daughter, bad alcoholic, because, well, I guess at that point in time, his wife had committed suicide less than 3 or 4 years before. He's sober. He's 3 years sober now. And, he's hesitant about her going to the concert. Suppose that's why they, told that lie. But the kid actually bought tickets. Was it really like not explained cover, but we got it. It was unimportant. Anyhow, so they leave, and then, they go in. Then there's just like, the blizzard of the century hits, and they're at summer camp again. This movie's chock full of intentional references. I wish I could watch it again now. But yeah, so they go to this camp, get snowed in, and you meet the guy's name, and I should have looked it up before, Armando. Again, it's like this nonsensical, like, winter camp. I mean, I guess you get out for school and your parents don't want you around for Christmas, then that's what they do. I don't know. That one still trips me up. But so, yeah, they go there, and it's just him and his daughter, Mustang. And Mustang, I kind of was expecting Mustang. I like saying it like that, Mustang. I was kind of expecting Mustang and Finn to have like a little, maybe not a full blown like mini romance, but like I thought that's where they would go with that. Yeah, so you got my guy, his daughter Mustang, and then you got this like pretentious, holier than thou, literally and figuratively, hyper Christian couple that really don't serve anything more than body count or attempt at such, and like comic relief at the wife's expense. So, you got our 3 kids, Finney, Gwen, Ernesto. And that one's confusing too. Like, I don't know who really owns it, or they co-own, whatever. But so 4 other people there. And then again, it becomes a little clunky, kind of like the way I'm filming this right now, repetitive. You have dreams, and you have essentially the same thing before they left. You have these scenes, and you learn a little bit over like a long time. It seems like the first hour of this movie felt like That was fucking boring, honestly, to be straight up with you. If it weren't for like little things like that kind of pulled you in, and the fact that the plot was completely different from the first. I mean, you don't have to have a full-on explanation of how like he being the grabber, how he reemerges, because like my wife and I were talking about it. The first movie, you have these ghosts that are able to interact with people. Now, to my knowledge, they weren't like able to physically do so. It doesn't matter, but yeah, just for lack of a better way to put it, the grabber's a ghost, right? Now is a good time to go and put this little youngin to sleep, so to speak. I like this movie. It was really terribly written, in my opinion. It probably could have been about 45 to 55 minutes long. It spent a lot of time worrying itself, and not really me, but kind of with mundane things. And what I mean by mundane is not horror-based problems. I don't care if I'm watching a horror film and a chainsaw should have run out of fuel a long time ago. I don't care that the gun should have been reloaded 2-3 times and it hasn't. I don't care that Mikey Madison's character Amber, the kills that she supposedly committed in Scream 5, not supposedly, that she did, that the person wearing the ghost face robe and mask was about a foot plus taller than her. It's fiction. It's horror. Like, those things don't bother me unless they're contradictive to the plot. And none of the things that I mentioned before necessarily are, right? But this maybe bitches a little too much. Or not bitches. It concerns you and I with things that I feel like I should be looking into and don't make any sense. So at this point in the movie, we have Ernesto, Gwen, Finney go into this camp. The Duran Duran thing, why they held that kid by those tickets. There was really no, like, we need you to do this. It's like, they probably cut that scene. Not so worried about that, right? But they get to the camp. They help themselves to a cabin with the world's coolest space heaters. Well, at least in 1982. And they sleep in there. And then the next morning, they're woken by Armando. And, like he knew they were there the whole time. And maybe he did. But how? Because he didn't know who the hell they were. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So I'm getting out of the way now. And, we meet Mustang. And then, he tells them, basically, the other couple's going to be pissed off because Gwen slept in the cabin with the two guys. And that's what I'm talking about. That is the absolute core of the kind of thing that I'm saying this movie did way too much of. First of all, nobody owes anybody shit in this scenario as far as those three go. Secondly, I thought you owned this camp, Armando. Oh, basically, when everybody gets on the same page, like day 2, I would suppose, Gwen's like tossed around like a boomerang by a disembodied figure. Looked a lot like my friend Amanda Weiss in Nightmare on Elm Street. And people start kind of buying the story. They all formulate a plan. This is real. And also, everybody seems to have something to chime in with at that point in time. Notably, Armando explains that the 3 kids died somewhere during his beginning of his tenure. I don't know. Again, this movie's it's not well written. I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't get, like, I don't know if this shit happened when Armando was like a counselor there. I'm going to go with that because the kid's clothing is even more dated than our present day 1982. But so they all come to the conclusion that if they find the 3 bodies, which seemingly Gwen and even to an extent Finney have a pretty fucking solid idea where they're at, because they keep telling everybody they're having dreams, or she's especially having dreams, and they're scratching numbers and letters on the ice. And then you find out that the grabber's name is William / blah, blah, blah. So they called him Wild Bill Hickok. And This is what she's been dreaming about. So they come to the conclusion that the bodies are absolutely in the lake. And I'm going to say it's been decades. And Armando confesses that he's made like a solemn vow, promised to find these bodies, like it's his life's work. It almost makes it sound like it's like the reason why he purchased the camp. And I don't know how large it is. She never looked in the lake. Because here's what happens when they come up with this, and then it's just like, I bet if we give them a proper burial, find them, these tortured spirits, then he won't have any power anymore. That being the spirit, the ghost, the specter, the ghoul that is the grabber. So just matter of fact, they take off with all this equipment the next day. And I mean, this is in Colorado. So I don't think there's any lakes in the continental, or not even continental, in the 48 states that are frozen year round. So I'm going to call Armando a little fucking lazy and everyone else for not checking this lake. Armando, and, they start the same thing that Finney and Gwen have been saying all the time, dreaming about 3 kids. He's like, well, now that you mention it, there's these 3 kids. Pretty much the reason why I bought this camp is to, honor a vow I made to their family, which you have to assume was when he was a counselor, the same picture that you see in this film, where Starlight, the camp name given to Finn and Gwen's mother, and also Bill, who is the grabber. There's a photo. So decades before. Anyhow, we got to take care of this. We have to recover these bodies in order to strip his power away. You also have at this point in time, Terrence, the father of Gwen and Finn. He shows up, some kind of like redemption arc. They kind of already powdered his ass a little bit earlier in the film before they left. Like by, acknowledging the fact that he's 3 years sober and he ain't beating the hell out of him anymore, which I don't think would be a problem with Finn anyways. But, so now, we got this plan, and we're going to put it into action. Because right around this point in time, it turns into, Black Phone on Ice. So, long story short, hypothermia doesn't exist in this universe because nor transparent storytelling. We go to the ice. We're on this mission. We're going to recover the bodies of the 3 boys that's supposedly been in this lake for a minute now. And, we're just now thinking about that lake as a location to find these deceased children. But, we get there and there's this real convoluted, Gwen's dreaming or Finn's unconscious or blah, blah, blah. It's like a 8-bit video game. We got kind of like the Friday the 13th NES game. Save these people to defeat the villain. So we're on, and against fucking Black Phone on Ice. But again, hypothermia. Gwen's asleep in this carriage, but she's able to submerge herself under the frozen lake and pull up these 50-gallon barrels with children's corpses in them. And we know that she's got 11-esque powers, as in Stranger Things. We've seen that earlier in the film. So whatever. But then Terrence, the father, again, redemption arc for him. Yes. He jumps in and he's undeterred by hell, cold, I guess. As are others. We had Armando. He falls in the ice, and we find him looking like Jack from Titanic, just hanging on the side for way too long to not be dead if you are, a member of the human race. But yeah, so they go here, and it's just the movie goes off the rails here. Obviously, they succeed. We have the three bodies recovered. They're very strong as well underwater, whether they're, astral projecting themselves, apparently in Gwen's case, or the father. You're able to, go down like it's a game you played when you were a kid, throwing things at the bottom, deep end of the pool and going to retrieve them. That's basically what happens with Gwen and Dad. Bring the bodies up, and, also the other couple, the Zealots, they can take an ass whipping, or more specifically, a hatchet or axe to the shoulder and get drugged, a couple, almost 100 yards, and then just put a blanket on basically at the end. It got really ridiculous. It was already always ridiculous. But that's what we got here. We end with that. Hypothermia doesn't exist. Apparently neither do carotid arteries or bleeding, anything relevant to being a human being in this climate scenario. Funniest thing about the ending of it was the spirits of the three boys. They have to be like it's a quest in a video game again. We gotta get these bodies, gotta get them some rest, like it's Nightmare on Elm Street 3 in reverse. But they get them up there. They make it happen. They make it work. They being our 7 heroes. And I'll be damned, these little ungrateful sons of bitches. They grab Bill, aka the grabber, and just jump right back in the ice hole at the end. And that's pretty much it. That's